different than the way you feel, wanting to reach into something that is new, when he could just as easily, in a sense, complacently remain safely on the ground with the rest of you. So you might ask the same question of him. Why do you risk exposure to the unknown? Why do you reach into the new frontier? And mostly he will say to you, because it calls me. It calls me. And what we're getting at is, from your non-physical vantage point, you extended yourself, begin again, in the same way that we're encouraging you to stand wherever you are and reach into this vortex. From the non-physical, you reached into the furthest known creative environment, which is this leading edge time-space reality. Then from here you reach again. So it's just this continual cycle of reaching and aligning and reaching and aligning and reaching and aligning. And a cynical viewpoint might be, but if I'm reaching and aligning and reaching and aligning, then is it true that I never get to where I'm going? And the answer to that is, thankfully, yes. We never get to the ending place, which is what makes this eternity so wonderful.
Understood. I guess my question is, to take your analogy of the astronaut, first off expects to some degree to go somewhere new, to experience success in his search, and is looking for something wanted. And I guess I look at so much of the contrast here, and you referred to it earlier today and yesterday in terms of the economic turmoil that's going on. And you've mentioned that this creates more in escrow than perhaps the last several decades combined.
But you didn't hear us say, we are rooting for your struggle for the purpose of expansion.
But that's my question is, why wouldn't you be? Being non-physical, in a sense, it doesn't non-physical expand the greater the contrast?
Because expansion without alignment is not fun.
Not fun for non-physical, or not fun for we as physical expressions of non?
Not fun for you as physical. We don't come out of our vortex for your pain ever. But that doesn't mean that we aren't rooting for your alignment and for your joy. In other words, here's the best way of saying it. There are so many things we want to say to you. First, we root for your success, but we never suffer in your struggle.
Mm-hmm.
The cynical thing that you feel, you could never feel from inside the vortex.
Oh, I understand, but in a sense, you're throwing us under the bus that way, in that you don't come out of your vortex. You get the benefit of the expansion that we create through our contrast.
Well, we don't throw you under the bus,
or you let ourselves throw ourselves under the bus.
Regardless of how you got under the bus, we can't help you out from under the bus if we don't stay in the vortex.
Oh, understood. I guess where I'm trying to understand is why, for instance, if there is not, given the increased contrast and therefore the increased volume in escrow because of the suffering, and it's not that many people have died or anything, but there have been a lot of people suffering over the last year, and you can say the same thing about, say, a World War II, something like that, where there's a heightened level of contrast around the world and for the race as a whole. Why wouldn't that be the status quo that non-physical would look for? Understanding that you're not coming there with us, you're staying in the vortex, but you're allowing us to be outside the vortex and to create, through heightened contrast, more and more expansion. I understand you don't wish us ill, but it would seem to be the best thing for all concerned.
Well, there are some of those, what you might call safeguards, built into it in this sense. First of all, the degree of discord that anyone feels is this range of emotions from despair to, let's say, ecstasy.
Right.
And Esther, you've heard this story, but it really applies here. One day, she was watching something that was happening somewhere in the world that was awful. And it just brought her to her knees. She could not stand and watch it. It was so upsetting. And she sat down and took the full hit of it. And then she said to us, once she came back into some semblance of alignment, if I feel that bad watching it from this remote viewing that I have, what must it have felt like for those who were living it?